Guns down! Guns down! Guns down! All right. So good afternoon. My name is Natasha Williams. I am the council member for the 27th Council District, and I'm also a proud member of the Hood Caucus. We will give you a little bit about that in a second. It started off as a fun thing from colleagues, friends, but we actually started talking about what we could do to improve our neighborhoods. So I'm standing here today with my colleagues, council members Kevin Riley and council members Althea Stephen. June is Gun Violence Awareness Month, and it is incredibly important that we continue to raise awareness and work towards a comprehensive solution to this issue. I am really frustrated and quite frankly sick and tired. Even as I was thinking about the words to say, I really don't have any words because we know this has been an issue for far too long. We will not stand by silently while more people are killed by gun violence. We will not stand by silently while our babies are dying in the streets. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
For the Hood Caucus, this is not about politics. We know we are elected officials, and there's a lot of politics that typically happens, but this is not about politics. This is about saving the lives of our children and our families. We know that gun violence is the grand equalizer, and we must not balance politics on the backs of our communities. The lack of investment in our communities has created a powder keg for violence. While this epidemic will take time to solve, we cannot wait and sit around. It is time for us to take action. We need to remove guns off our streets, and we need to replace them with resources. We know that gun violence does not just affect those that are directly involved, but it affects everyone. It affects how safe we feel in our hoods. It affects how safe we feel in our homes. It affects how safe we feel in our streets. It affects how safe we feel in movie theaters. It affects how safe we feel in schools. We don't want to live in a world where gun violence is accepted as a reality. Like, we literally accept this as a reality. We ask you to join in our fight and fight against gun violence. It is time that we put an end to this once and for all. Guns down!
Life up!
Guns down!
Life up!
Let's go for my colleague, Councilmember Williams, for her powerful words that she mentioned today. When we started this thing called the Hood Caucus, it was something that we had a common boundary amongst ourselves. In the council, we represent different neighborhoods within New York City. Within Councilmember Stevens and Councilmember Williams and myself, we represent Queens and the Bronx. We realize that gun violence is plaguing our communities. This is things that is affecting our neighborhoods on a daily basis. When we talk about the conversations that we're having today, a lot of the times our hoods aren't brought to these conversations. When we formulated the Hood Caucus, we wanted to address issues that are happening within our neighborhoods. We live in our hoods. I live in the Northeast Bronx by Edenwall and Co-op City. I see everything that's happening in my neighborhood on a everyday basis. We're not up here giving you talking points. We're up here giving you feelings. We're up here giving you situations that are happening within our neighborhoods on a daily basis. But the issue that's happening today is that our neighborhoods aren't involved in these conversations. And what we realize is we have a strong tool that we have within New York City to address this. This is our CMS groups. This is that energy you see behind me. We have these orange shirts on, even though this is Gun Violence Awareness Month, June. We deal with this on a daily basis. 12 months a year, 365 days a year. We deal with this on a daily basis. What we're trying to do is form the Hood Caucus where we're bringing our hoods to the table. When we're addressing things as a government, if you're from the hood, you understand the hood don't really relate to the government. We don't relate to the government. And we try to address things that happen in our neighborhood on a daily basis. We want to make sure that they have a seat at the table. And this is why we created the Hood Caucus. This is why Councilmember Stevens, Councilmember Williams, and myself stay here today to bridge colleagues, government together to address the issues that are happening in our neighborhoods. This is why we've been having conversations prior to us being elected with crisis management groups within our communities to address these issues. This is why we stand here today. This is not just here for a press publicity stunt. This is work that we're actually putting in on the background. This is work that we're trying to call all government and elected officials together to address this. We're not going to address gun violence in a specific group. We're going to address gun violence together. And this is why we want to have this conversation today. So with that being said, I want to introduce my colleague, Councilmember Stevens, to come up here to give some remarks on behalf of the youth that we're really trying to impact on this journey.
Peace, family. Peace, family. Peace. We want peace or what? Peace, family. Peace. I need to hear that because it's important. We're talking about our young people here. If you know me, everything I do is about our young people. And let's be clear, they're not part of this conversation either. I say it over and over and over again. Our kids don't want to die.
That's right. Facts.
They don't want to live in fear. They don't want to carry guns. But we have a society that has made it acceptable and a need for them to carry a gun. Let's talk about it. Our young people deserve better. They deserve investments. They deserve programming. They deserve to be loved. Too many adults are scared of young people. I've seen it so many times where young people are fighting and adults walk past and don't intervene. We say it in any other sector. The people who are closest to the problem should be solving it. The young people are the closest to this problem, so they should be solving it. They need to be part of this conversation. They need to be part of the task force. They need to be a part of this work because it's them who are dying in these streets. It's them who are scared, so they're picking up a gun because we haven't done the work. Every young person that died in the street, take it as a failure of each and every one of these adults who are here today. It is our fault. It is our fault every time because every kid that dies, I cry. I hurt because those are our babies and we failed them. We must continue to invest in them. We must continue to love them. This is not just about Gun Violence Awareness Month. Gun violence awareness is every single day because my children, my community are suffering from it daily. So people say the Hood Caucus, they did think it was a joke, but we are talking about how we bring the hood to this conversation. Because for too long, we didn't have a seat at the table. And guess what? I got a folding chair and I brought it to the table. So the next person I'm gonna bring up, the next person I'm gonna bring up who's been leading this work and set the groundwork for us three to be here today. He's done this work, he's been in the trenches and continue to do this work. Let's give it up for our public advocate, Jemani Williams.
Thank you. Peace and blessings, love and light to everybody. Yo, can we give it up for the unabashed Hood Caucus right now, please? I'm gonna go a little bit back. I just wanna go back a decade ago when I was in the city council. I wish we had a Hood Caucus, we didn't. This is the brilliance of the generation now. But I remember giving a speech after a shooting and saying, if the people who were dying had less melanin in their skin and they lived in another part of the city, the whole city would stop short and try to figure out how to solve this problem. There was another shooting, I said the same thing. If this were different people dying, the whole city would stop, everybody would get together. And finally, to her credit, the then speaker put together a task force and appointed me the co-chair, the task force to combat gun violence. And what we said then is some of the same, pushing back on some of the same things that we're here saying now. Somehow, we don't care about the young people dying in our streets. Nobody cares more about the people dying in the streets than the people that live there. And what we said was we understand that our law enforcement has a role to play But if they alone could have solved that problem, they would have already solved it. And what we needed was deep investment in our communities to deal with the issues that those communities are dealing with, especially if we're not going to stop the flow of guns, which we should be stopping in the first place. So it's an honor to be here 10 years later, because we had that task force, and it was great to hear from people who are doing this work, like the Furtado brothers. It was great to have people who were doing this work, like Erica Ford was then on the task force. A.T. Mitchell, who I know is going to be making some great news in a little bit on that task force. My brother Kay Bain was my legislative director who helped guide me through this work. It's an honor to be here, and I have to tell you, it took way too long and we still don't have enough money. But when we were there, I remember them saying, there's a couple, we're not gonna name names, but they try to take a couple people off the task force. But we said, we're not removing anybody, because what you're seeing is the trauma of years of watching kids die. So you're gonna deal with this trauma just like the community has to deal with it. And they have a lot to bring to the table. I had to go in, I wasn't in the budget negotiating team, I was just a freshman. We convinced Republicans to support us. I remember they wanted to give us like $2 million. We said, we're not taking $2 million. You try to give us that money, we're gonna have a press conference and say you don't care about black and brown people dying in the streets. So we got them to $5 million, $1 million in each borough. I'm so proud that we're over $100 million right now to this system. But it has to be short-lived claps, because the NYPD is up to $11 billion with a B in the funding that they receive. Nothing that we will discuss here today gives you the right to shoot 11-year-old Kiara in the Bronx. Gives you the right to shoot 12-year-old Cade in Brooklyn. Gives you the right to shoot 13 black people in Buffalo in a supermarket. You don't have a right to do that. You have to have consequences and accountability for your actions. But what we have been saying for so long is stop spending more money on the accountability and the consequences than preventing it from happening in the first place. That's all we've been saying. We are about to go to the 4th or 5th surge of police in the subways, and we still have violence. So all we are saying is we need more resources. If you really want to support the law enforcement, stop asking them to solve all of the problems that so many people have a part to play. That's the best thing that you can do. So I'm honored to be here now to see where this thing has come with people who were with us. Oh, Tamika Mallory, who's here as well, was also on that task force. To see the people who started from nothing, who said, if there's nothing there, we will create it. And lastly, we fought every step of the way from 2012 to 2018, forcing them to do the things that we said needed to be done, forcing them to lowering, saying you can't stop more black people than live in the city of New York, forcing them to put resources into communities. And in 2018, 2019, in part because of the work that was done here, we became the safest city we ever been in this country and in the history of this city. And we started sounding the alarm when this pandemic went up, that the violence was gonna go up. We know what to do. Fund it, structuralize it. Make sure that when people call on the phone, they can get something that's not just police to deal with the violence problem that we've been dealing with for a long time. The last thing I'll say is the answer cannot be that we arrest more and more black and brown children of the black and brown people we arrested 10 years ago. Peace and blessing, love and light to you all.
I just want to shout out some of my colleagues that are standing here today. As many know, we have a new council. I'm like new caucus. We the new caucus. A new council. So Councilmember Alexa Aviles, Councilmember Chi Ose.
Wait 1 second. I'm gonna need everybody to be respectful and have one mic. One mic.
That's how we get down here. All right. So Councilmember Alexa Aviles, Councilmember Chi Ose, Councilmember Sandy Nurse, Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, Councilmember Lynn Shulman, Councilmember Julie Menon, Councilmember Julie Wan I saw earlier, Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse, Councilmember Rita Joseph, Councilmember Jane Gutierrez, Councilmember Shahana Hanif, Councilmember Crystal Hudson, Councilmember Linda Lee, and Councilmember Shaker Krishnan. Did I forget any of my colleagues? Councilmember Farrell Lewis. Oh, and I can't forget my boo, Councilmember Tiffany Caban. All right, so
Wait, we're gonna Vanessa's right here.
oh.
So just really quickly, my borough president just stepped in the building, so we're gonna bring her up to have a couple of words. Vanessa Gibson, who was also on that task force. So she was a part of the task force. Thank you for the correction, but she's been doing this work. We're gonna acknowledge her.
So mic is working?
No, it's not. Absolutely.
Okay. Peace, family. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I am Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, and I'm so thankful to be here on this day. We have a collective responsibility as elected officials, as advocates, as CMS organizations to do our part to save our children. Our babies deserve to live. In the 6 months that I've served as Bronx Borough President, I've already experienced an 11-month-old baby shot. And thank God she lived to see 1 year old. We had a 16-year-old fatally shot leaving school a few weeks ago. And just 2 weeks ago, we had an 11-year-old shot. I want everyone to understand this is not normal. We have got to do better. We know that the answer to address gun violence are jobs and programs and after school and community centers and recreation centers and jobs and more jobs. We have a gun violence problem in this country. This is not just a problem in New York City. And so as Bronx Borough President, I stand with the members of the City Council, with the Hood Caucus, our public advocate, crisis management organizations. I want to shout out my Bronx groups who are with me every day in the trenches. We do this work every day, not just the month of June. I want the media to understand we have to tell a better narrative. I need y'all to show up when we have job fairs, not just a shooting. I need y'all to show up when we are at college graduations. I need you to show up when we get these young people jobs. I need the media to understand that there's a better narrative that we can tell in this city. It is not all negative. We have young people going to college and careers right now, and they're black and brown. That is our future. Every young person is not a criminal. We have to do better. They're on a detour, but guess what? We can get them on the right path. So I want to shout out Guns Down, Life Up, SOS, BRAG, RTG. I want to shout out Life Camp, GMAC, Man Up, East Harlem Save, True to Life. I see you. I see all of you out here, and I know y'all are doing this work. Don't give up. Stay focused, because our children need us. We will not lose our children to the streets. We will not let them go. We will stay with them, and we will stay out here in these streets until every child in the city of New York is safe. God bless you, my brothers and sisters.
I just also want to acknowledge another one of my colleagues, Councilmember Eric Botcher. And with that, we are actually going to bring up... Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Councilmember Eric Botcher.
Yes, Eric Botcher is here. And now we're going to actually hand it over to A.T. Mitchell, who does not really need an introduction, to facilitate the CMS groups and a few other fun things.
Thank you. Let's go, A.T.
So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It is a great afternoon. And again, as I traditionally always like to say and pay homage and respect to, and that's to every single one of these men and women that's on the steps. You know, this is about you all. You all walked that bridge.
That's a fact.
That's right.
You all worked them streets.
That's a fact.
That's right.
So respectfully, we are the crisis management system. As been mentioned, we are no newcomers to this city, to this issue. We have a host of veterans, long-time activists, that work these streets day in and day out. So you may not see us normally here at City Hall until today, but we got a number of our leaders that are going to come forward and tell you more about who we are, what we do, and I ask that you please be patient with them as well. First up, as well, that does not need any introductions, is one of our queens of the movement and one of our kings of the movement, Erica Ford of Life Camp Incorporated, and Lance Furtado from King of Kings Foundation.
We want to do a quick roll call. We starting with the Bronx. Is RTG in the building? Is Bronx in the building? We gonna go borough by borough. Is Brooklyn in the building? Is Staten Island in the building? Is Harlem in the building? Is Queens in the building? All 5 boroughs. We are on the streets day in and day out. This is the 10th year we're coming here celebrating Gun Violence Awareness Month, building the gun violence awareness movement across the nation.
Yo, one mic on Erica. One on Erica. One mic on Erica.
One mic, one mic.
One mic.
When we talk about what is happening with gun violence in New York City, why is it on the rise? That's COVID. That's the lack of resources to the groups who went 4 years with no killings, 3 years with no killings, 2 years with no shootings, 3 years with no shootings, who made a place for formerly incarcerated men and women to come home and work and build and transform their community. That took the guns out of young people's lives, gave them jobs, gave them hope, gave them aspiration. That is the brothers and sisters behind us. The gun violence awareness movement.
Talk about it.
And so, as our council people said, just like we do in every other community, we need investment on top of investment, equity for our children.
CMS, we in the house? Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Lance Furtado. I am the founder and executive director of the King of Kings Foundation, and I'm one of the pioneers along with Erica, AT, and a host of us, Tamika Marley. And so we want to talk about how did we get to this point. This started way back in 2009, when we suffered a rash of shootings in 3 of our boroughs, Brooklyn, Harlem, and Queens. Us being street generals, we said to ourselves, enough is enough. So we came together. No money, no support, just the love for our people. The love for our people and the love for life. We are pro-life. And so we came together and we said, you know what? Collectively, we have to do something to reduce gun violence in our communities. So we developed a think tank where we all came together and we adopted this model from out of Chicago. Back then it was called Ceasefire, known now as Cure Violence. Am I right? No. Now we're CMS, known as Crisis Management System. When there's a crisis, we come through and we manage it. As my sister Erica said, there's not enough support. We don't have anything bad to say about anybody, but it's not 5,000 of us. It's not 40,000 of us. It's only 500 of us, and we need to grow this. There's 33 sites. We need 150 sites across the city. So every borough has at least 25 sites, and that's a true way that we can help reduce violence in our communities, and we make a better way of life for our future leaders. When I say peace up, you say guns down.
Peace up. Peace up.
Peace, brothers and sisters.
Peace.
First of all, family, I'm going to ask you to please stop the sidebar conversation. This is an important event. There's sidebar conversations going on all around. Even if you're here and they're talking back there, ask them to respect what's going on. That's right. Ask them to respect us, especially if it's the members of the city council talking in the back while we're here. My name is Tamika Danielle Mallory, and I am the one of the co-founders of Until Freedom. I'm also one of the individuals who is so proud to be here today, joining my brothers and sisters, and particularly Erica and AT, because we sat in rooms yelling at each other, arguing, walking out, fighting, carrying on, trying to build something together. It's over a decade, along with our brother Lance and others, so many who were there in the very beginning when we did not have this. The purpose was to provide jobs and opportunities for those that we knew could help us to address the issue of violence. We knew that the people who could actually work on this issue and deal with this issue and bring violent crime down were those who had experience. Whether they be formerly incarcerated, a shooter, a victim, the mother, father, family members of victims, we knew that the focus needed to be on the people so that the people can help address the concerns of the people. So we worked hard to make this happen. And today, what you see behind us is not just the government made it happen, because to be clear, we were told no every time that we asked for resources when we first started. We met with the mayor at the time, and he looked Erica Ford and I dead in the face and said, there is no proof that what you're trying to do will work. But we proved it. They sent us back. They told us to get data. And all that Erica has mentioned in terms of how many days, weeks, years, months went by without shootings in this city. We did that together. Now, once the pandemic came, it changed a lot for everybody. So stop trying to act like, and media, who you are here, if you have any moral conscience, tell the true story. Violence is up everywhere. In fact, in 1963, Malcolm X got in big trouble for saying something that we see today, which is that the chickens are coming home to roost. As we see shootings happening across this nation, shootings of all types, mass shootings, violence everywhere, remember that this group, we told you. We told you what would happen. We gave you the forecast of what would happen to this nation if we did not deal with mental health, if we did not deal with the lack of jobs and resources, if we did not address food deserts and other concerning issues in our community. We already told you that today would come. And so if we are to go forward and this nation is to be better, this group is an example of what must come together in order to address those concerns. The police force cannot do it alone. If they could have, CMS would have never been needed. The government cannot do it alone. Half the time they can't figure out from one side to the other what to do. It takes all of us. But the main thing is that the people must be centered. And so we look forward to having our new Hood Caucus fight to bring more resources to CMS and other groups who are doing this work around the city so that the nation can learn from New York City how to bring violent crime down. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to get the link right now. Yeah, what we're going to do at this point, again, we respect and appreciate everybody's patience. I don't think everybody expected even to be this hot today.
Right. It's supposed to rain.
It was literally supposed to rain. But without further ado, I want to bring up the mayor of the city of New York, Mayor Eric Adams.
Hey. You know, it is hot, but our communities are hot every day. And I said this over and over on the campaign trail that I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. And nothing personifies that more than the people who are here today. A.T. Mitchell, Erica Ford, Tamika, Kay Bain. We've been in the field together for a long time, and some of the names, Vanessa Gibson. We have been doing this for a long time, and history is going to show that. The first crisis management funding came from an idea I had in the state senate called SNUG, guns spelled backwards. First allocation of money, first. And it has moved into the movement you see behind us. And so when people believe that folks of color want to normalize gun violence in their community, they are wrong. They are wrong. This is a real issue that we want to attack head on. But what we don't want to do is minimize the complete picture that must be addressed. By the time a person picks up a gun, we've already failed. We've already failed. And I've said this over and over again, there are many rivers that feed the sea of violence. And it's time to dam every river, not just one with law enforcement. Damming every river is what we're going to do. The epidemic of gun violence is not a New York problem. It's not a Democrat-Republican problem. Tulsa is a red state. The shooting that took place there was a red state. Just an announcement came over just a few minutes ago of a 16-year-old attempting to recruit others in Berkeley to go in and shoot up a school. Every day we're hearing about this. It's breaking our hearts, breaking our bodies, and breaking our communities. When a bullet hits the target, the physical bullet stops, but the emotional trauma rips apart the anatomy of our entire community. And there have been more mass shootings. Think about this for a moment. More mass shootings in America than days of the years. It's unbelievable. And we've normalized it. We say it's okay. And I think we often dismiss it because the victim of handguns violence, for the most part, are black and brown and in the inner cities, all across America. So we've normalized it and stated that that is just the way it has to be. And we're saying today, you're damn right, it's not going to be that way. We can turn it around and make it happen. It's not a big city problem. It's an America problem. The proliferation of guns that are impacting our communities and the rise of radicalization. That's the focus that we are ignoring, and the role of social media on attempting to allow this radicalizing of people across our city in their homes. It's the culture that says this: you have the right to feel more powerful and more important than your right to live in peace in our communities. And so we are here today to gather and reject that mindset, coming from different philosophies, outlooks, and belief, coming together to unify around one cause, and that cause is to end gun violence. And so today, I am announcing a new task force to formalize my Executive Order 19. It would be co-chaired by A.T. Mitchell. A.T., which is a long advocate in this space, that I have known for 30 years of being on the ground, of fighting hard for this issue. And some people say, well, what about his background? Well, what about my background? What about all of our background? We're not looking for a nun. We're looking for someone that's not afraid to be in the street and embrace our people. We're looking for the right person for the job. And AT is the right person for the job. Founder of Man Up, a violence prevention and community development organization in East New York, what used to be the murder capital of our country. On the ground every day. I'm proud to have him here. 20 years of experience designing and delivering proven solutions that contribute to safer neighborhoods. He will be co-chairing the task force with Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright. Think about that for a moment. Think about that for a moment. The person on the ground is co-chairing with a deputy mayor. The highest end of my government is being focused on this issue in a real way. The task force members will include every deputy mayor, police commissioner, chancellor, everyone that impacts or touches the lives of a young people will be part of the solution of dealing with gun violence, because we can't continue to believe that because you made an arrest, you solved the problem. The problem is why our children haven't or feel they have the need to have guns in the first place. That is where the failure has already took place. Even as we see the shocking headlines across the nation and the endless feed of these guns, we took close to 3,000 illegal guns off our streets since January. 3,000. And they continue to come in. So the answer can't be just downstream making arrests. The answer is going upstream, preventing people from being and having these guns in the hands of our children in the first place. We're seeing a substantial decrease in shootings, 30%, decrease in homicide, 30%. But you know what? Those numbers mean nothing, because you tell that to the mother of an 11-year-old child that was shot and killed. So we don't want to throw around stats. We want to make sure we give the resources to the people that need it, that's on the ground. And we're going to do more. This is an all-hands-on-deck moment. All of my agencies will be involved. Every agency will have a liaison to speak directly with the leaders of the crisis management team with AT and Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright. The task force will ensure the community safety agencies responsible and support to those first responders. We're going to expand the definition of first responders, because first responders are not only the police, EMT, FDNY, they are the CMS. Add those new 3 letters to the definition of first responders. We're going to expand the program with proven records. We're going to have summer youth program, Saturday Night Lights. They will engage with communities most impacted by violence, identifying gaps and getting the resources to build on them. We're going to make sure people who are in need are connected with our Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, so we can deal with mental health issues, health care, affordable housing. We're going to ensure that our affordable housing teams are in place. We're going to ensure housing of those who are returning citizens can go into some form of housing so they don't go back into incarceration. We're going to make sure our children are screened for dyslexia. 30% of our inmates are dyslexic. That's why David Banks is going to be part of this task force. We need to make sure that our parks are open and clean in communities that need them, sports programs, and yes, Instead of G-U-N-S, let me give you another 4 letters. How about J-O-B-S? Let's get our children jobs. Let's put them on a pathway of employment. That's why we have 100,000 summer youth jobs, first time in the city history. Thank you, Jumaane Williams, for pushing this for years. That is why we're pushing to tell corporate America we want a 100% paid internship program throughout the school year. Lead it into our foster care children and give them the support they need so they don't age out at 21. Give them mentors until they're 26. All of these things are going to help us deal with this issue in a real way. Time to take our city upstream and build real partnerships with people who are tired, as I am, of pulling people out of the river downstream. This is our moment. You did not elect me to do what everyone has done in the past. You wanted a different outcome, and you picked a different mayor. And trust me, it's a lot of noise out there. Everybody's going to critique us. Everybody's going to start telling, why did you pick this one? Why did you pick that? Because I'm the mayor.
I could do that.
And we're going to make the decisions now to save our children with the level of urgency that we deserve. We've been on the ground too long doing this. That's right. Too long. And you call DSNY to say we need to clean up a street so that we can stop hiding drugs and behind packages, and no one's responding. You call to close the street to make sure you can have a basketball program, and no one wants to give you the permit. You want to go to the precinct and speak to a precinct commander because you want to de-escalate something, and our precinct commander is not giving you the love and respect you deserve. Those days are over. You are now part of the apparatus of making our city safe, intervention, and prevention. There's a new day in the city of the new New York where we all will benefit from it. Thank you, all of you, for being here today. We're going to hold it down for our community. Thank you, brother. All yours.
Talk to him, AT.
Wow. So again, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I first and foremost want to personally thank Mayor Adams for doing what he said that he would do. Even before he got into politics, he said that he was going to make a difference. And that's how he's been living his life every day since that I've known him.
Share your new title again.
Share your title.
Share your title again.
Share your title.
I'm a part of a very robust group of advocates that I'm very proud to be a member of.
That's right.
And a lot of us know each other respectfully. But thank you to Mayor Adams for naming me to be the gun violence prevention czar in New York City. It's a new title. It's the first ever, and it should be. As he mentioned, we should want some things that are different. We've been dealing with this issue for far too long, and we've been using the same tactics over and over again, and we've been getting the same results. So no one should have a problem with us trying something different.
That's right.
Give us a chance to prove our self-worth. We are the people who are closest to the problem.
That's right.
So quite naturally, we have the answers to those problems. There's nobody that wants gun violence to end more than the young people that come from the neighborhoods and the people who live in this community every single day. And so this is a community-driven approach. When you hear about the state or the feds and now the city, now include the community. That's the fourth leg of the chair that you're sitting on, Marsha. The community that we represent can create, as you heard mentioned at this podium, solutions for themselves. And we're going to work hand in sync with that community to make sure that we deliver the things that they say that they need, the things that they say that they want. And these men and women behind me are trained to deliver those resources into those neighborhoods where other people cannot go. So I'm proud to accept this opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with the other members of the administrations and my colleagues. I'm looking forward to helping us strengthen the crisis management system, to expand on it, on its successes. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you. I'm gonna give it back to
When
the...
I say gun violence czar, you say AT. Gun violence czar. AT. Gun violence czar. AT. Gun violence czar. AT. Gun violence czar. AT. Salute. Salute. Salute.
Let them close it out.
Yes, sir. Well, summer actually started already for us. As you can see, when the weather gets hot, it's summertime in our neighborhoods, right? So we already been preparing ourselves all year round. Throughout the pandemic, throughout the first 6 months of this administration, we've been preparing ourselves, and we have to be honest. We didn't get into this problem overnight, so we shouldn't expect an overnight cure. We were actually asking for an honest opportunity, a fair opportunity. I can't put a time frame on it because we've been living in these conditions for far too long. Because we're not miracle makers. You know, we are trained and disciplined at what we do. I can assure you that with the support that we will get from this city, we will continue to do our part. But I can't put a finger on the time right now. Marsha.
Can't hear you.
I can't hear Marsha. I'm sorry.
You can hear that? Somebody ask that louder.
What
I
kind
didn't
of
hear Fabian.
resources do you
Most important city.
What do you need?
What is the most important resources, Marsha? I think one, we just need, honestly, we need everybody's full cooperation. You know, every one of us are human resources, right? As an individual, we have something that we have that we can share with the next person. And so first and foremost, it starts with us. Before we look outside for the resources, we want to look within. The person who we see in the mirror every day is a resource. And every one of us here can bring something to the table. But as it relates to what we know works, because we've been out there for decades, and that is if we bring employment opportunities that are meaningful and living wage opportunities, that helps at the beginning. If we bring in housing opportunities so that people can be able to feel like they have their own space. If we can bring more counseling and mentorship into the schools, into the neighborhoods to deal with the trauma that a lot of the people are suffering. But also if we can bring more opportunities like this, that we have been able to showcase that these men and women, most of which who have been there and done that, have been able to get employed and to go back into their neighborhoods and to become someone that they feel proud of in helping rebuild their own neighborhoods. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, bro. I'm sorry.
All good. It's all good. Number one, we've already have committed financial resources to the crisis management team. We believe in the system, as I stated, starting out, and when I was in the Senate, we believed in that system. But the second is about using our pre-existing resources in our agencies. The agencies have not been connected to the number one crisis we are fighting. And so I want my chancellor connected as we deal with safe zones around our schools, as we have members of the CMS team go into schools and de-escalate and build those relationships. I want HBD to be part of as we identify housing, returning citizen housing, those who are informally incarcerated, our shelter system. We need to have the crisis management operation in our shelters. De-escalating situation. They have an excellent skill at de-escalation. And so if all of our agencies are aligned and look at these organizations as partners, we can turn around this conversation. They have not been considered partners. They have been considered a separate entity, and now they're considered as partners. That's what the council persons are saying. That's what I'm saying as the mayor.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, you know, hiring their own family members, I think y'all beat me up when I wanted to hire my brother. So, you know, listen, let me be clear. I've vetted AT for 30 years. I can't say that enough. This is a 30-year relationship of a person who I have witnessed on the ground at shootings, on the ground talking to people who are in gangs, getting them out of gangs, on the ground getting people to disarm themselves. That's a 30-year relationship. So I don't want people to send me in their resume and telling me what they did that other people know about. I only had to vet one person, A.T. Mitchell. He was the right person for the job. Because of my long relationships being on the ground, I don't have to find people. I have relationships with people. And so the DOI did their investigation. They came up with recommendations. You follow the recommendations. And that's what they're doing, following the recommendations. And so I think the best recommendation we have is the recommendation I gave to my team that A.T. Mitchell is the man to do this job.
That's right. Simple.
Well, we are showing progress on the police arm. 30% drop in shootings, 30% drop in homicide. The largest arrest rate for guns in over 30 years, in close to 30 years. So there's progress there. Now we need to look at progress with our progress in supporting these teams and groups here. We underestimate, everyone talks about how many shootings that are taking place. We underestimate how many shootings are prevented because of these groups. And you can't always measure the prevention. People want to look at what happened and not the prevention. I'm a big believer we need to look at how many preventive shootings we witness. And so it's crucial to us. Part of what we want to do is give support to all of the crisis management team, build out their infrastructure. We're going to bring in some professionals to show them some standards, things that we want to do. We're going to roll out all of them so that they can have a solid infrastructure, because far too often they're busy being on the ground saving lives. They don't have that infrastructure support that they need. Now, the Supreme Court ruling. I am blown away that the rest of America is not afraid of this Supreme Court ruling that I keep talking about. They're about to say the right to carry. That means everyone on the train can openly carry a gun. You're in a supermarket, everyone can carry a gun. That should be the #1 issue we're talking about, this open carry law that Trump Supreme Court is about to push forward. Atlanta just removed all of its restrictions for obtaining a gun. So as shootings are going up, the restrictions are going down, and we're creating an environment where every person, no matter what their mental state, no matter what they're going through, can be armed with a gun. So a simple traffic infraction can turn into a shootout. A simple dispute could turn into a shootout. We need to be laser focused and put pressure on the Supreme Court to say, do not allow this to come into law.
Did you say when we can judge you on these initiatives?
I'm sorry?
Did you say when we can judge you on the success of these initiatives?
Well, they were judging me. They were judging me January 1st. You would have thought I was mayor for 4 years the way they were judging me. You will judge us when the city is safe. And we're going to keep trying new things, do different things. We're going to keep evolving to create a safety that could address the national gun problem. That's right. The national gun problem. That's what we need to really understand. This is a national crisis. And we're going to partner with our mayors across the city. I spoke to the mayor when we had the mass shooting in Texas. I spoke to him today, and he stated, I'm a Republican, Eric, but I want to align myself with what you're doing because we need to be partners in what's happening in our cities. We're going to do two more, and I got to bounce.
You and AT have a conversation before you made this decision about, you know, some of the questions you're getting today about this DOI probe that happened 3 years back. Did you guys talk about that and kind of how it would weigh today?
Yes, we did. We talked about that, you know, weeks ago. He said, Eric, this is what it is. I'm an open book. And I said, yo, brother, I want you, you know, because I'm, you know, you're talking about DOI. I'm talking about DOA.
Come on.
Our children are dying.
That's right.
Our children are dying. And the lack of urgency of getting the best talent to stop the DOAs. Right. I have to stop the DOAs. That's my focus, the DOAs. They made recommendations. He did the recommendations. We are moving forward, and we're focused on stopping the DOAs.
One of the things that it seems like you're trying to accomplish here is to integrate this movement into the city agencies. And I'm wondering if there are any specifics as to the mechanics of how you're going to do that you can share with us.
No, we don't want to integrate this into city agencies. The uniqueness of these crisis management team is their ability to say they're not city employees, that they're able to sit down and they're not going to be restricted in how they interact with those they're trying to get guns out of their hands. That's the uniqueness of this. We want to make sure that they're getting the support from city agencies as they carry out their missions. So if they want to go into a school to de-escalate a situation, they need to have the relationship with that principal, that principal witness them as an additional resource to go in to de-escalate the problem. Well, you have two phases. You have the deputy mayor and you have AT. So you're bringing both groups together. So what he's going to do on the streets is what we're going to do inside government. And see, here's the uniqueness of this, and I got to bounce because I got other stuff to do. But here's the uniqueness of this. Y'all trying to define the way y'all do things the way us. We don't do the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 dance. We do the boogaloo. So you trying to say, well, what's this, what's this, what's this? You don't understand. This is not how we operate. You know, this is like a different way. If you're trying to stop someone that's carrying a gun, that doesn't have a home to sleep in, don't have anything to eat, living in a shelter, and you try to go to them and say, well, you know what? I got this philosophical principle that I learned in my theoretical class. Man, people will say, get out of my face. They got this unique way based on their life experiences to communicate with people. And I'm not trying to take that away from them. I'm not trying to fit it into my neat little governmental box. I'm saying to all of them, do your thing. Get that gun out of their hand, get that person employed, get them back in school. Let's stop the deaths of our children. And it may be strange to you. It may be, because you didn't spend any time in East New York. So all of this may be foreign to a whole lot of folks. A whole lot of folks may be saying, what are they talking about? We got it. But you know what? When they do their job, you're going to be able to live in a safer city.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do.
That's right.
Thank you.
Make some noise, y'all. Make some
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got it. Yes, I think it's important to do so. Knit together cases, knit together, you know, those who are really inflicting this violence. I think that I call for that on the campaign trail. I think it would be a great idea. We do it in other areas. We should have one person, one special person that knows how to knit together all of these cases. I don't have the authority to do so. You know, we need Judge Fiore and we need the DAs to also buy in, and that's part of the conversation that we're going to engage in. Okay. Thank you, sister. Huh?
Excuse me.
We'll answer it off top.
Can the mayor take a group CMS photo?